Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. It's the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 24th of August. The first news, that is tech companies worry of law on digital competition. We'll see the detail about this. Second, Sri Lanka new National Security Act, which was being formed by the government. Third, Supreme Court observation on the freebies, and the Supreme Court has categorically noted that all the parties are inclined towards the freebies. We'll see the detail about this as well. Fourth, that India's sex ratio at birth begins to normalize. So the normalization process in the sex ratio is again something which is welcoming for a country like India. Now the last is an editorial implication of the 5G rollout for the law enforcement agencies and the concern that is implicated. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I start, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So starting the session with the first news, that is tech companies worry of law on digital competition. This is relevant for General Studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So to tackle the unfair and predatory practices in the digital market, जो parliamentary standing committee है जिसको PSC भी कहते हैं, the parliamentary standing committee has come up with some of the recommendations, right? So the parliamentary standing committee on finance will actually submit a report on how the competition law in India need to evolve in terms of the digital market. And the PSC is basically expected to submit its report at the end of this month. Basically at the end of the September, they will be submitting. So they will provide how the competition law in India need to be there so that there's a healthy competition and no overtaking of any entity by any other means other than that healthy competition should not be promoted, right? So this is something going to be important for your mains examination although. तो मेंस में कई बार ऐसे स्पेसिफिक सवाल पूछे जाते हैं जहाँ पे आपको कंपैरिजन इंडिया में किस तरह के रूल्स और लेजिस्लेशन है खास करके कॉम्पिटिशन लॉ को लेकर के, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Now the panel discussed, by panel I mean the parliamentary standing committee, they have discussed the preparing of a legal framework for fair competitions, right? The competition should be fair और जो बड़े टेक जाइंट्स इंडिया में जो ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं which includes Google, Amazon, Apple and other have alleged for anti-competitive practice, which is something not essentially required to promote your growth. And a country like India definitely need to look upon the laws which definitely not promote any anti-competition practice. So anti-competition practice पे आप even for mains and for prelims examination you can expect questions. Now, market dominance of the big tech companies. India is again a favorite destination for many of the big giants because of the consumer and because of the requirement and because of the marketplace that we offer. So during the meeting, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance has said that several, basically it has looked into the various questions of the market dominance of the big tech companies, which are preluding other competitor and killing the Indians player. So at the same time, when India called for Atmanirbhar Bharat or Make in India initiative in many of the sector, we need to also look upon जो हमारे indigenous स्टार्टअप्स हैं या फिर जो नए एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप्स हैं उनको भी एक हेल्दी कंपटीशन मिले और एक बड़े टेक जाइंट जो कि इंडिया से ओरिजिन नहीं है वो किसी भी तरह से हमारे डोमेस्टिक मार्केट को बेसिकली अनहेल्दी प्रैक्टिसेस से खराब ना करें. Now the member of the panel suggested that they want a legislation in a place which is not a business unfriendly, but at the same time it saves the interest of the consumer as well. Not only the originator but the consumer which is going to be consuming the end product, they should also be benefited with this competitions, right? And in this meeting, the top executive, as I've told you in the beginning, were from the Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Netflix, and Uber. So these are some of the major tech giants that are operating in India. Now, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance is looking into the various aspects of competitions, जहाँ पे marketplace, especially जो technological concerns है, rules, regulation, and the conduct of businesses is essentially very important. India is an emerging market. Very soon we can be a developed nation, which is a healthy competition is essentially required. So at this point of time, at this juncture, the legislation and the recommendations of the Parliamentary Standing Committee become very important. So what are the laws that are adopted globally? कुछ मेजर डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज है, जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज हैं, किस तरह से उन्होंने एक लॉज को अडॉप्ट किया है इन टर्म्स ऑफ द डिजिटल मार्केट. सो विल सी द डिटेल अबाउट दिस. So the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance has noted that EU, European Union की अगर बात करें, EU has come up with a digital market and even the Digital Service Act and several other bill that is also pending in the British Parliament, and even for the United States they are working on the bill, they're working on the legislation which call for regulation of the digital market. So these important countries, these developed countries are of the notion that digital market की regulation काफ़ी ज़्यादा important है. इन countries के अलावे other countries include Australia, Korea that have passed the law which is associated with the digital market, and the competition law is evolving very quickly across the world, right? Because the technology is changing, definitely we need to evolve according to the situation. So it is changing across the world to deal with the digital market, and it is well worth examining India, which is a very, very large digital ecosystem, and even the footfall is too high. Now, some एंटी कम्पिटिटिव कंसर्न को लेकर के जो पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी है, द पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी हैज टेकन अ नोट ऑफ दिस. सो द पीएससी हैज सीन दैट देयर हैव बीन complaints about the alleged anti-competition way in the various technology platform and firms that is operating specifically in India. And the Competition Commission of India, which is a nodal body to look into the healthy competition of our country. तो आप CCI के बारे में थोड़े बेसिक्स पढ़ लें, प्रीलिम्स के बारे में काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकती है. Now it is again probing various cases, especially in the digital space, following the complaints of the unfair business practices. The Competition Commission of India has made a representation about the competition aspects in the marketplace to the parliamentary panel, right? So these they have also come up with the notion that they have aware the parliamentary panel that these are the things and these are the measures that were taken by the Competition Commission of India. Now, Sri Lanka new National Security Act, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is India and its neighborhood relations. After the change of the government, recently we have seen the new government forming in Sri Lanka. There's some changes with regard to the rules and regulations. So recently the Sri Lanka government has announced that it will soon replace the controversial PTA, that is the Prevention of Terrorism Act, with the new security law. तो नई सिक्योरिटी लॉ लाई जाएगी और जो पीटीए है उसको रिप्लेस कर दिया जाएगा. नाउ amid the international condemnations for Sri Lanka with the use of that Draconian counter-terrorism law to detain the students. 3 ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स थे यूएस के जिनको डिटेन किया गया. So that was the reason the concern were raised about this PTA, that is the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Now, Prevention of Terrorism Act has been in use since 1979. अगर श्रीलंका की बात करें तो श्रीलंका इसको 1979 से यूज कर रहा है. Now, some concern that were raised by the United States and even by the European Union in this regard for this Draconian law, that is the PTA. तो यहाँ पे बातें कही गई है that the development comes after the US and European Union expressed the concern over the detention of 3 students. मैंने आपको शुरुआत में बताया 3 ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स थे जिनको डिटेन किया. These 3 students belong to US and European Union countries. And they said that this is something not a healthy practice that is being operated, right? And the Sri Lanka police has begun a probe into the possibilities link of the anti-government conspiracy, inciting the violence and arousal attack that took place, and that has even led to the worst situation in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has witnessed even the worst economic crisis since its independence. तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा सिचुएशन ख़राब हुई है. लोगों के पास बेसिक ज़रूरतें कि जो ज़रूरत की सामान है वो नहीं है. They are running short of the gases, they are running short of many essential household commodities, and even this was something, a grave situation that has arisen in Sri Lanka, although things are normalizing, but again the situation was really tough. The European Parliament in 2021 has called for the repeal of the PTA, and they have urged the European Commissions to consider the temporary withdrawal of the Sri Lanka access to European Union generalized system of preference. तो GSP प्लस जो यूरोपियन यूनियन ऑलरेडी जिन्होंने दिया हुआ श्रीलंका को, उसकी भी कैंसिलेशन की बात की गई है, बिकॉज द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन दैट इज ऑपरेटेड इज नॉट अंडर द स्पिरिट एंड एसेंशियली इट इज नॉट अंडर द कोर एसेंस ऑफ द डेमोक्रेसी. The Supreme Court observation on the freebies, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2, that is structure, organization, and the function of executive and judiciary. So recently, the Chief Justice of India have given a remark that all political parties are on the one side when it's come to the freebies support, right? So the CGI categorically noted that every political party is inclined towards making a freebies announcement or promises. So CGI made this statement while hearing the public interest litigation, एक PIL फाइल की गई थी. सो उसी के कंसर्न में, और ये जो PIL फाइल की गई थी उसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट से डायरेक्शन की मांग की गई कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट डायरेक्ट करे इलेक्शन कमीशन को, और इलेक्शन कमीशन रेगुलेट करे दैट हाउ फ्रीबीज कैन बी रेगुलेटेड. बट अगेन no conclusion was made, and Supreme Court will definitely come up with some guideline, but for time being these remarks were not given. So Chief Justice Mr. N.V. Ramana said that the court primarily concern is that the large dress freebies should not blend. The national taxpayer की जो amount है वो खास करके इकोनॉमिकल प्रोग्रेस में लगाई जाए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट में, हेल्थ सर्विसेज में लगाई जाए, तो कुछ परसेंटेज एलोकेट कर सकते हैं फ्रीबीज के लिए. Now some suggestion which was taken by the experts. So senior advocate Mr. Kapil Sibal was also providing an assistance to the bench, and he has said for a statutory finance commission, right? जिस तरह से फाइनेंस कमीशन काम कर रही है उस तरह से एक स्टैट्यूटरी फाइनेंस कमीशन हो ताकि वो रिकमेंडेशंस दे सके फ्रीबीज को लेकर. Now फिजिकल मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एक्ट के अंदर ये बात कही गई है दैट दे शुड नॉट, the benefit cannot exceed 3%. If you're writing in mains examination, आप इस numbers को जरूर कोट करें. Now if this exceed the allocations 3% से अगर ऊपर किसी भी तरह से deficit अगर जाती है, then the allocation may be reduced by the finance commissions. तो check and balances रखने की जरूरत है ताकि freebies में ज़्यादा पैसे गवर्नमेंट किसी तरह से खर्च ना करे. Now the bench took a note of the suggestion and asked that the debate was necessary and judicial scrutiny were permissible if there's necessary a central law or not. So see, अगर बात करें जुडिशरी की, हर एक लॉ में जुडिशरी इंटरवीन कर सकती है, गाइडलाइन दे सकती है, and even it is not find feasible, they can abrogate the law, right? So but this is something an expert panel was already formulated. Supreme Court will definitely come up with a detailed guideline. We have to wait and watch for the situation. But definitely you can expect a question in the mains examination also. Now, India's sex ratio at birth begins to normalize, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2, that is issues related to development and management of health. And even it is important for the same paper, General Studies Paper 2, that is government policies and interventions are concerned. Now, according to the latest research, which was done by the Pew Research Center study analyzing the National Family Health Survey की जो data release की गई है, National Family Survey 5, from 2019-21, it says that Indian families are becoming likely less to use the abortion process to ensure that the birth of the son than the daughter. India में already काफ़ी ये पुरानी problems हैं जहाँ पे there's always a preference of a boy child rather than a girl child. But the data from the National Family Health Survey is evident of the fact that these choices over a baby boy is decreasing, and there's a narrowing of the sex at the birth rate. So normalization is taking place. This was a research which was conducted by the Pew Research Center, and they have made the analysis on the basis of the report by the National Family Health Survey 5. So this is again important. Now you can see some data. अगर बात की गई है किस तरह से हर एक religious group में हिंदू, मुस्लिम, क्रिश्चियन और सिक्स, and these are the sex ratio at the birth, lower and upper level, right? So you can see the figure. Even if you take the screenshot, this number might not be relevant for you, but to make you understand, ये data आपके पास जरूरी है. Now, other part you can see here the approximately natural numbers from the abortion which took place is like this much. Now it was pretty high in 111 numbers. Now it reached to 108.1. Right. So these are the comparison for the year from 1960 to 2020. Now, some of the observation that was made by the Pew Research Center, and they have pointed out that the sun bias is on a decline, right, on India, and the average annual number for the baby girl, which was actually missing in the country, has fell from 4.8 lakh to 4.1 lakh. So, this is the analysis and the observation made by the Pew Research Center on the basis of the National Family Health Survey 5. जो National Family Health Survey के जो report 5 है उसके मुताबिक. Right now, the Pew Research Center pointed out that between 2000 and 2019, 9 crore female gave birth went to missing because of the female selective abortions. And the report also analyzed the religious-wise sex selections, pointed out the gap for the highest in the state. Now, the study point out that while sex make up to less than 2% of the Indian population, this again number is important, ये percentage data. They account for estimate 5% of approximately 4.4 lakh, and 9 crore of the baby girls who are missing is between 2000 to 2019. And both Christians, अगर बात करें 105 to 100 girls, and Muslim 106 to 100. They have a sex ratio close to the natural normal that tends to hold, right? So the notion for any particular regional group in India that was prevailing, that Muslims tend to have more child, anywhere for the Christian they have less child. These are situation that is normalizing, and the research which was put by the Pew Research Center has given a clarity over the National Family Health Survey Report 5. Now, how it's all started, किस तरह से चीजें problem begin हुई है. This is not the new. This actually started way back in 19th century, when the availability of prenatal diagnostic technology was allowed for the sex selection abortions. तो वहाँ पे रीज़न कुछ और थी ताकि जेंडर्स के बारे में पता चल सके. इवन फॉर मेनी अदर प्रॉब्लम शुड बी डिटेक्टेड, राइट, बट द मेजर रिलीजियस the big reductions in the sex selection were seized among the previously, and they have the greatest imbalances particularly in the Sikh. So Sikh group में imbalances high थी, although the situation is improving. Now we can see that down the line 5 year or 10, India can improve the overall process and the sex ratio can become normal. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, that is implications of the 5G rollout for the law enforcement agency, something relevant for general studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So I'll be simplifying this editorial under 4 important subheads. This include the advantages of 5G and the law enforcement agency, some challenges that pertains to the overall security concern, the challenges for the law enforcement agencies, the cyber security concern, and the way forward. The entire editorial focuses upon a theme, which is the roadmap for the 5G rollout. Now, to begin with, अगर बात करें recent में प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने अनाउंस किया था कि 5G की जो डिप्लॉयमेंट है that will commence soon in India, and it is expected that by basically this year only this is going to be rolled out. So the long-awaited upgrade from 4G to 5G will an ultra-fast internet service will be provided. This is a seamless connectivity across the country compared to the 4G. Now, as per the report, it suggests that the government will launch the 5G in the Mobile Congress in 9 of September 2022. तो ये ऐसा अनुमान है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स ने कहा है कि जो इंडियन मोबाइल कांग्रेस होती है उसी के दौरान, उसी इवेंट के दौरान गवर्नमेंट लॉन्च करेगी 5G की सर्विसेज को. Now, the implication of 5G rollout could be significant, particularly जो law enforcement agencies हैं, उनके लिए challenges और ज़्यादा काफ़ी होंगे. So we need basically in this editorial we'll be looking into the aspects, the challenges that the law enforcement agency is going to face after the rollout of the 5G services. Now, पहले देख लेते हैं क्या क्या advantages होने वाली हैं law enforcement agencies को 5G services rollout के बाद. So the rollout is set to enhance the efficacy. जो प्रोडक्टिविटी है वो बढ़ेगी. सिक्योरिटी, हेल्पलाइन नंबर्स, एक्सेस टू क्रिटिकल इंफॉर्मेशन, रियल टाइम नैबिंग द क्रिमिनल इज पॉसिबल विद द टेक्नोलॉजी. नाउ हाई बैंडविड्थ होने की वजह से इसमें लो लेटेंसी है, सो इट इज अडॉप्टिंग मोर इंश्योर परफॉर्मेंस. डिवाइसेस होंगे चाहे बॉडी काम हो, फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन टेक्नोलॉजी, ऑटोमेशन, नंबर प्लेट, ड्रोन एंड CCTV. These are some of the things that will be incorporated, right? And 5G सर्विसेज promise a transmit of clear images, जो quality of images है वो और अच्छी होगी. Now 5G will also allow secure communications within the organization as well as between the civilian and emergency responders. Now some challenges that is facing by the law enforcement agency, and that is something that is evident that has to be faced by the law enforcement agencies. So but there are challenges with regards to the 5G adoption. The government की अगर बात करें, communications must be first to ensure that the law enforcement agencies having a necessary infrastructure, जो infrastructure development है वो हो, ताकि ये अपनी पूरी benefit ले सकें इसकी. And the law enforcement agencies get access to secure data, telecom operation, and such needed basically जो access tools हैं, जो state of art amenities हैं, वो भी उनको मुहैया कराने की ज़रूरत है. And almost most police system are outdated and not compatible with the 5G system. Although system वैसे upgrade नहीं हुए, तो 3G 4G services वाले system ही use हो रहे हैं. So we need to upgrade the entire basically amenities logistic parts also. Now to bridge the technological gap, police must invest in modern tools, software and infrastructure development. Now challenges, और अगर ग्राफ के फॉर्म में अगर आप एग्जामिनेशन में लिखना चाहते हैं मेंस के एग्जाम में स्पेसिफिकली, तो आप लिख सकते हैं मल्टीपल सर्विसेज की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रॉब्लम है, कम्युनिकेशंस की प्रॉब्लम है, सिक्योरिटी एंड लेजिस्लेशंस. नाउ कुछ साइबर सिक्योरिटी के कंसर्न्स जो स्पेसिफिकली इस एडिटोरियल में हाईलाइट किए गए, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वन बाय वन. द फर्स्ट इज डिजिटल राउटिंग. अगर बात करें जो प्रीवियस नेटवर्क थी वो हार्डवेयर बेस्ड थी. Now 5G services is a software defined digital routing. So this is something important for the prelims examination also. And this makes it susceptible to the cyber threats such as botnet attack, man in middle attack and distributed denial of the services, जिसको DOS overload भी कहते हैं. Now इसमें किसी भी तरह की end-to-end encryption नहीं है. Beside this, the 5G lacks end-to-end encryption. Hackers can plot their attack more precisely and penetrate cybercrime by hacking the system and disseminating the illegal content. Now, bandwidth expansions की भी समस्या हो सकती है. The bandwidth expansions due to 5G will enable the criminals to embase the data easily. Now, there's a susceptibility of attack. This is mostly prone with regards to 5G connects, additional devices and frequency of the attack could increase because IoT की बात की गई है, Internet of Things की बात की गई है. So जो susceptibility है, जो vulnerability है device की, वो और ज़्यादा बढ़ सकती है. Now cyberbullying is another concern because 5G services may also make it easier for the criminal to penetrate into the cyberbullying. Criminal group may be able to easily coordinate with the DOS onslaughts because the real-time communication capabilities between the multiple criminal groups. So these are some of the major challenges the concern poses with regards to the implementation of the 5G services. उसके अलावा टेरर अटैक इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट्स हैं. टेररिस्ट टू कैन बेनिफिट फ्रॉम द 5G high speed internet which will allow them to execute attack with precise and rapid in nature. And with the services 5G plan, the terrorist can plan attack without travel and physically using telephones, which could be a trial for the law enforcement agencies to act upon. तो जिस तरह से टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ रही है, टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड हो रही है, उसकी मिसयूज के भी चांसेस उतने ही लेवल से बढ़ते जा रही है. So we need to tackle on this part also. Now intervention and measures that is essentially required, which is suggested in this editorial and very important for your mains examination also. तो क्या क्या मेजर्स लिए जा सकते हैं? फर्स्ट, द पुलिस विल नीड टू बी ट्रेन सो दैट दे रिकॉग्नाइज द 5G इनेबल्ड क्राइम. इसके लिए प्रॉपर स्किलिंग और ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत पड़ेगी. सेकेंड इज द ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम फोकसिंग ऑन द क्राइम सच एज डेवलपमेंट. थर्ड, गवर्नमेंट and the telecom companies could think of setting up the 5G crime monitoring force to monitor and identify the crimes and develop the counter measures. तो उसके लिए measures बनाना, identify करना and legislation that is backing the police decision or the law enforcement agency's decision. Now fourth, it is imperative to create a regulations that makes crime for the people and use of 5G technology to commit the crimes. Fifth, regulations that may require telecom companies to follow police officer access to their equipment to track the location of the victim and penetrate to the 5G crime for the countermeasures. तो ये कुछ essential laws related requirement है जो ज़रूरी होगी. And finally, the law enforcement agencies will have to evolve strategies to identify the victims of the 5G facilitated crimes, locate them, and tackle them against the penetration of such crime. Right. So this is essentially required, and if proper skilling and everything is done, logistic part is developed, infrastructure development is done, state of art technology is incorporated, then the law enforcement agency in India will definitely be capable to overcome the problem that is arises with regards to the 5G criminals. Now, वे फॉरवर्ड की अगर बात करें 5G की जो रोल आउट है, दिस इज डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू बी द गेम चेंजर फॉर द लॉ एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसीज. इट विल इनेबल एन इफेक्टिव फाइट अगेंस्ट द क्राइम, एंड एट द सेम टाइम इट्स क्रूशल फॉर 5G क्रिमिनल यूजर्स के लिए भी ये इनहिबिटेबल है. वो कहीं ना कहीं इसके मिसयूज को जरूर करेंगे. So in this context, the recent recommendations which was given by the TERI, that is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, right? So उनके जो recommendations थी to develop a national roadmap and implement 5G at the best possible manner should encompass a law enforcement requirement. तो एक rules, law और legislation की जरूरत पड़ेगी ताकि इसकी healthy implementation हो सके और law enforcement agencies इसका ज़्यादा benefit ले सके, and even the criminals, the terrorists should not be benefited from this technology. So this is how the way forward can be concluded. Moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको बताना है SanDisk के बारे में. It's GNI enabled tracking system of the send use, social security schemes, and instant messaging app for the government of India, and news for the fertilizer developed by the ICR New Delhi. Second question of the day, SAT, again something important. एक statutory body है established under the provision of SEBI Act, और जो presiding officer होते हैं SAT के वो अपॉइंट किए जाते हैं president के द्वारा. So do check it out for the correct options. If you know it's well and good. If not, you can check out for the correct options. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.